What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the Galaxy S24 to the S21 here. The S21, actually a very good older flagship that I really like. I've done a ton of videos on it. So let's go ahead and compare the two, and have a lot of people who were requesting this. So let's go ahead and get started with the overall build quality and design here. So the design really hasn't changed that much. They just basically took away the cutout that you see on the S21 here. And the one thing about the S21 series that a lot of people didn't like, which I didn't think was that big of a deal, was actually this back is plastic. A lot of people didn't like that. So with the S22, Samsung went right back to the premium design. But the thing about the plastic is that, you know, it's not glass, so, you know, it's not going to crack as easy and stuff like that. It's still a metal side on here as well. You can see mine's is a little bit beat up. But yeah, as far as the build quality, it's still decent. The S21 a little bit taller as well. And yeah, as far as hardware wise, they both kind of feel the same in the hand. I think the S24 is actually a little bit more boxier. And yeah, so there's not too much going on that's different with the hardware here. Alright, so let's talk about the displays here. So the displays are pretty similar for the most part. It's a 6.2 inch display on both of these phones, but the S24 does have the LTPO AMOLED display. It is 120 Hz HDR10 plus 2600 nits peak brightness compared to the 1300 nits peak brightness on the S21, and they're both about pretty much 1080p resolutions, and they both have about 400 plus for the PPI. And of course, you got Gorilla Glass Victus, you got the Victus 2 on the S24, and you do have somewhat slimmer bezels. Is really, you know, kind of minor. You kind of have to look kind of close, but it definitely is slimmer. They're both flat displays as well too, and I would say this, the biggest difference is honestly going to be the max brightness outdoors. And like I said, the slimmer bezels aren't really that. You would have to really be you know, looking closely. But yeah, I mean, the LTPO, you know, it helps as well with battery life and stuff like that. But overall, the displays are very similar. I would say that this S21 display is a little bit more vivid actually compared to the S24, and I think that was just a Samsung when it came out with this series. People were noticing that was the main complaint with the S24 Ultra as well too. Even if you turn the vividness up on this phone, this one still seems a little bit more like colorful. So that's one thing that I noticed, but besides that, it's not really too much different when it comes to the panel. Alright, so let's talk about the specs a little bit more. And both of these phones are running Android 14. The One UI 7 update is coming to the Galaxy S21 series. When the beta does come out, I will go ahead and show you guys how that's going to look and perform. And we do have the Snapdragon AAA processor on here, 128 gigs, 8 gigs of RAM on the S21. And then on the S24 here, we do have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, and this is 128 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM. You can see here is the score difference. Now, if you get into some app loading, you will notice that there's actually really not that much of a difference at all in terms of performance here. Even the animations are still pretty smooth on the S21. You can see Subway Surfer slightly a little bit faster, but that's pretty much the theme throughout this phone. It's still very, very fast, as you guys can see. So it's able to keep up with the S21 in terms of animations. And honestly, the S21, if you're a light user, it's consistently smooth with the animations and everything. So I think it's still very, very good in this department here. Let's go ahead and launch PUBG here. Looks like the S24. Oh, looks like the S21 actually got in there. Alright guys, when it comes to performance here, the S21, especially for the price that it's at, it's actually still able to game pretty well. You can find this phone for roughly around, you know, less than $200 pretty much. And it does a pretty good job at gaming at 90 frames. The only issue that you're going to run into with this phone is that this chipset with heavy use can get a little bit warm, and that's probably the one issue with this phone is this Snapdragon AAA processor. can heat up a little bit if you are a heavier user, and it will hit the battery as well too. So that's the one issue with the S21. If you're a power user, you will kind of notice it kind of getting really kind of warm. The S24, we're able to play at 120 frames, and Samsung has pretty much, you know, done a really good job with the phone as far as the heating goes, and performance is pretty stable even if you are someone who plays a lot of games. So like I said, it just depends. If you're a lighter user, I wouldn't really worry about it. If you're a heavier user, then, you know, of course, it's something to think about for sure. I've never had any issues with the S21. You know, I'm more on the lighter side, so it's just something to think about. All right, let's check out these speakers. We'll start with the S21. Yeah, so the S24 has an excellent sounding speaker. I would actually consider this an upgrade. It's way more hard hitting. This overall sound quality is a lot more crisp and clear. And overall, it just sounds much fuller and just sounds like a pretty decent upgrade. Yeah, even the bass is just hitting much harder. So it's a really, actually, really good speakers on the S24 here for sure here. All right, so one of the main things with the software is that you will get the pretty much the same stuff when it comes to all your essential stuff. Samsung desktop support, a lot of the same features are going to be here. Now, where these two phones differ is that you do have Galaxy AI baked into the phone, which is something the S21 does not have. We only have access to circular search on here. I would be curious to see what the Android 15 update brings with the S21. Are they going to start throwing in some Galaxy AI updates or some features on the S21? And it's something I've been very curious about because they brought it to the S22, and I feel like some of the features they could possibly bring to the S21 as well too. So I'm really interested to see what they do with that. And yeah, that's pretty much the big difference when it comes to overall software experience. And of course, you're going to get way more updates with the S24. It has 7-year pledge, so you can keep the S24 for a very long time. You guys can see S21 fingerprint sensor, again, very quick. All right, so we're going to look at these side-by-side stills and videos. Let's check out these specs first. So we do have a 50 megapixel standard on the S24. We also have a 10 megapixel telephoto. It's 3 times, and it goes all the way up to 30 times zoom. We also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot in 8K 24 and 30 with a 12 megapixel selfie that can shoot in 4K 60. The S21 still has a pretty decent camera setup at 12 megapixel standard, 64 megapixel telephoto, and this one, it does have the 30 times zoom as well. And then we also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide 8K 24 video with a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. Check out these side-by-side stills and video. Let me know, do you guys see a significant upgrade here? So one of the biggest upgrades between these two phones is actually going to be the overall battery life. The battery life on the S24 is a lot better than the S21. The standby time is much better as well too. So if battery was something that you were frustrated with, this is actually a very good upgrade. It's actually really good. It's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, 25 watt charging, wireless and reverse wireless charging on the S24. In the S21, it does have a 4,000 milliamp hour battery as well, 25 watt charging and wireless and reverse wireless charging. The difference here is in the chipset. The chipset makes a huge difference with this phone, and also the LTPO display kind of helps a little bit, I believe, too. And yeah, so the battery life is great on the S24. So it's one of those smaller phones that just do a really good job, especially if you're a lighter user. It can really go a day and a half, honestly. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.